My real estate photography company has successfully outsourced all of the editing for 10,000 plus real estate photo shoots. And I don't mean real estate photos, I mean entire photo shoots. Not only that, our video editing as well. So in this video, I want to break down how you can successfully outsource your real estate photos, save yourself a ton of time, and ultimately have a better business as a real estate photographer. So I'm going to break down why people don't outsource and some common objections and things that I found after outsourcing a ton of real estate photos, when to outsource, how to find an editor, everything you need to know. It's going to be like an outsourcing masterclass. So what we're going to do first is dive in on why people don't outsource. And I tried to think as clearly about this issue as I could before starting to record this video. So I have a bunch of notes and things I want to go through with you. And so in order to successfully outsource, you obviously have to make the decision that you want to outsource your real estate photos. And I know that sounds kind of silly, and probably if you're watching this video, you're like, I already know I want to outsource, but a lot of people are just on the fence about it. And a lot of times the things that make them on the fence are things that are either not true about outsourcing or just a misunderstanding. And so number one is it costs too much. Well, if you outsource and get really good quality hand blended real estate images with crystal clear window pulls and good colors, you're going to spend anywhere from 55 cents to about $1 per image, depending on your volume and depending on the editor you use. So if you're looking at a real estate photo shoot that is 40 real estate photos, you're going to pay less than $40 to have those photos edited. And if you're charging $200 for a 40 photo package, yeah, it does take up 20 or 25% of the shoot's margin for that service. But remember, that's only one service. If you add on drone or floor plan or video, it really amps up the amount you make. So the cost, in my opinion, is well worth it, because if you just look at your hourly rate, it's a lot higher shooting and it's a lot higher getting clients than it is editing. A lot of real estate photographers, what will happen is they'll go shoot all day, they'll come home at 5 o'clock, and then they'll spend the next few hours editing their own photos. And so my take on the cost is that you can't afford not to outsource. I would much rather you be done at 5 and send your photos off and enjoy your evening, which is probably one of the main reasons you started a business in the first place. Or if you really want to still work, you want to make as much money as possible, and you don't care if you work late at night, use that time in the evening instead of spending it editing to reach out to clients and to grow your business. Ultimately, it's just leverage. You have to look at your hourly rate with all the tasks you do and do more of the stuff that makes you more money. Shooting and getting new clients is going to make you way more money than outsourcing. So number one is the cost. Number two is the quality. And people will oftentimes think, hey, like they're not going to edit like me. And all I have to say is that they 99% of the time, depending, unless you're just really skilled, the editing companies you outsource to are just going to be better at editing than you. They're going to give you a higher quality output and a file that's going to look great, a photo that's going to look awesome. And so whenever I hear people say that, it's just, to me, not something that ever I've seen actually be true, because they spend their whole job is to edit real estate photos. So like their whole thing is editing. Your small focus in the evening is editing. So they're almost always going to be better than you. The next thing is people say their clients won't like that they outsource photos. And there's kind of multiple sides of this, but it's like, number one, you don't tell your clients that, right? It's not because they'll care. It's just like you don't run through everything about your business. Your clients don't get to choose what kind of gear you have or how you shoot the photos or anything like that. And editing is also a consideration that is yours and has nothing to do with your clients. I think where people misunderstand this and why they'll say this is because they think that if their clients know that they're outsourcing the photos, it somehow takes away from them. But the businesses I work with have teams, and I think businesses with teams are stronger. And so it's not a really good reason to me. And one of the last reasons is people will say, like, I think it's a really good idea for me to learn how to edit and be good at it in case of a pinch, So at the start of their business, they're like, Eli, I really don't want to outsource. I want to edit myself. And it just doesn't make sense to me, because you can have the editor fix those things too. There's a ton of real estate photo editors. You can always have backups. And so the time spent learning how to edit, complete waste of time in my opinion. So I'm even saying, if you already know how to edit and you're awesome, I still think you should outsource. But especially if you're just starting, it is not worth learning how to edit your own photos, in my opinion. For example, I did a video with him recently, a client of ours named Edwin that went through coaching, and he built an awesome real estate photo business, well over $10,000 per month, and he doesn't even have any editing software on his computer, and he never has. Like, he put all that time into getting new clients. So the way I look at it is you can't afford not to have a real estate photo editor. And so hopefully that helps you understand why I recommend outsourcing. It's just a much better use of time and money. And now we'll dive into the next thing, which is when to outsource. And we kind of already hit on this a little bit, but by when to outsource, I mean, should you start day one as a real estate photographer and outsource your editing? Should you learn photos? And my take is, if today is when you need to start outsourcing, whether you've been editing your own photos for 5 or 10 years, or this is your first real estate photo shoot, absolutely outsource your real estate photos from day one. It is just such a hack in this industry that can not only help you make more money and have better photo quality, but get your time back. Like I was talking about earlier on in this video, a lot of real estate photographers spend all this time editing, and it's kind of a shame, because my guess is you started your real estate photo business for two things. Maybe it was a different balance of those two things for different people, but you wanted more freedom and you wanted to make more money. And yeah, I mean, if you're working all day, you're making more money, but I don't know if that equates to more freedom. It probably doesn't if you're working from the time you get up till well into the evening editing. And so you have to decide for yourself, but I just think it's a really good idea to immediately start outsourcing. And while we have training that teaches our clients in coaching how to edit if they want, we strongly encourage them never to watch that training. Complete waste of time. All right, moving on to the next category, the third one. What should you pay for outsourcing? So, like I talked about earlier, for a good hand-blended image, you're generally gonna pay between 50 cents and $1 per image, with 70 cents being pretty typical per image. You will see some real estate photo editors that charge like 20 or 30 cents. And so that's why I said at first, for good hand-blended real estate photos. What hand-blended editing is, you know how we teach 3 brackets for shooting photos? So you shoot an underexposed photo, a middle exposure, and an overexposed photo. Well, hand blending is where you take those 3 raw images, you send them to the editor, that editor opens them in Photoshop and manually layers them together. They mask out the windows, they balance the exposure, they make sure the colors are accurate, and that is a little bit more labor-intensive process, but it gets you the highest quality results. And that's what you're gonna pay an average of 70, 75 cents an image for. The 25-cent stuff is auto HDR, or software-based HDR. So there are a bunch of HDR softwares you can load those photos in, and the software with an algorithm, or however it works, automatically blends those together. The problem is it spits out a much lower quality result. The colors are gonna be inaccurate, the window views aren't gonna be nearly as good, and in today's real estate photography market, those results are really just not passable. And so I recommend using a hand-blended editor. And that's something you have to specifically tell them. So moving on to probably your next question is, how do I find a good real estate photo editor? Well, there's a great company that's been created for exactly this purpose called Pixelmob. I'll put the link in the description below. It's pixlmob.com. And if you use /rep, they give you a little bit of free credit. The cool thing about Pixelmob is they were actually a member of our community they still own a real estate photography business. And they saw the problem that many real estate photographers had of like, how do you find a good editor? So they built a marketplace just for real estate photo editors. And it's free to use. Pixelmob doesn't cost you any money. You just pay your editors through there, and the editors pay Pixelmob, and that's how Pixelmob makes their money. So check out Pixelmob. The cool thing is you can see a bunch of editors on there that do real estate photo editing, see how much they charge, the services they offer. And you can also see reviews from people who've used them. And so my approach to finding an editor is to go to Pixelmob and test out a few different editors with a sample project, get the results back, see what you liked about working with each of them. Not only the products that you received in the end, the final edited photos, but how quickly did they get them back to you? Were they friendly and easy to work with? Did they communicate well? And so the biggest advice I can give you is test a bunch of editors. And then you're gonna find one, and when I say a bunch, it doesn't have to be 20, but test 3, 4, or 5. Find one you really like and start working with them. And if they ever give you trouble in the future or their quality drops, you can always switch, because Pixelmob makes it pretty easy to find them. And this video is not sponsored by Pixelmob, it's just an awesome solution. And so I highly recommend checking it out there and finding some editors on there. It's funny because the old way we used to find editors was you create a fake email address and you just message a bunch of them on Facebook. The reason you use a fake email address is because you'll get so many editor spam emails in the future if you do that. So I like Pixelmob because it streamlines that process a ton. All right, so now that you have the framework of how to outsource, I wanted to just talk through at the end of this video a few common mistakes I see when it comes to outsourcing so that you can more successfully outsource your real estate photo editing. The first mistake I see is around cost and how much you actually pay for a photo editor. So because you actually pay per photo, every extra photo you send them costs you more money. And at Norman & Young, if we do a 40 photo package, we deliver 45 photos every single time. It doesn't matter if the house is 8,000 square feet or 1,000 square feet. If the client ordered 40 photos, we over deliver a little bit and give them 45 photos every time. But what we don't do is deliver 65 photos. And that's where a lot of real estate photographers go wrong, is they're kind of sloppy with how they actually shoot. And so they end up with way too many photos. They'll send them to the editor and overpay. I don't recommend doing that. So shoot the amount of photos that you need, send those to the editor, and that will keep your costs down. Number two is people get frustrated with an editor. Maybe the quality drops, maybe the communication isn't good, the turnaround time is slow, and then they just deal with it and they keep using that editor. There are so many real estate photo editors out there. Give your editor a chance. If they don't do a good job, let them know why. But sometimes these companies grow too fast for their own good and they don't provide you good service. And that's why I recommend just not thinking of an editor as like a permanent business fix. You're gonna use them while they work well for you. And if they stop meeting your needs, don't hesitate to switch. You know, your clients do the same thing to you. This is business. And so, you know, treat them well, be accommodating to them. But if you notice they're giving you too many issues, there are so many great editors out there that it is not worth it for you to have to suffer with issues. So feel free to switch editors. Don't stay stuck to one editor. The third mistake I see is doing a lot of pre-editing. So especially if you're coming from a photography background, you spend a lot of time maybe tweaking photos before you send them, or just really over scrutinizing, or even blending the photos together yourself in an auto HDR software and sending them off after to be edited. There's a lot of weird things that photographers do. My advice is shoot the house, and the photos you get when you leave the house, be very structured about how many you shoot, delete the ones you're not going to deliver. That way, when you get home, you can simply drag and drop all of the raw files straight from your SD card to upload to your editor. Don't bring them into Lightroom. Don't spend time narrowing them down on your end inside of Lightroom. Like, do that all on location at the shoot and just send the photos directly to the editor. That's my tips for you when it comes to outsourcing. Highly encourage you to do this. It will save you so much time and make you so much more money. Outsource from day one if you're a new real estate photographer. Don't even worry about learning editing. And if you want us to walk you through every step of getting your real estate photo business off the ground, connecting you with editors like we just talked about here, and making sure that they perform well for you, making sure you know how to shoot photos, videos, 3D tours, how to get clients, how to set up systems for photo delivery and invoicing and scheduling, and how to price your package and everything like that, that's exactly what we do in coaching. We handhold you through that process of launching your real estate photography business, and you can find the link for that below. It's called Launch Coaching, and it's our program for people just getting started. And if you already have a real estate photo business and you want to add systems to your business to make it more efficient, hire your business or scale your business by hiring people, whatever you want to do, we'd love to help you in our Forward Coaching program for those with established businesses. Same link below. You can talk to my team by clicking the link below to apply, and it'll be a real human being full-time that works for us on the rep team. At the time of filming this video, we're 25 people strong, and our whole goal, what we do every day, is help people like you launch and grow their businesses. So check out that link, and I'll see you in the next video.